I started my career in '86. I'm 58 years now old. '86 I started and I wanted to become a chef. I became a chef to open my own restaurant. But as I learned in a hotel, I saw as well beyond the kitchen. And I said, let me see what else is possible to do. Of course, the investment for a restaurant was a bit too much for me in those days. I did a food and beverage management training, and then shortly after I went overseas straight away. In '89, I left via the UK to Australia, and I would think until I got married, I never thought about a career. I was just enjoying working with people. You know, I was living on an island in Australia. Some people may know it's Hayman Island, a luxurious resort. Life was, if I look back then, it was just perfect. No internet. Newspapers arrived 2-3 days after it was printed, so it was already outdated. Great community between the employees and the guests. We were all together. We didn't live together, but we engaged with each other. I joined Hyatt Hotels in '99 again. Then once you recognize that you can, that you have a certain skill set and willingness to make a positive difference, then the career can take off. When I joined Hyatt, I knew I wanted to be GM. That was clear. I started to work as I was food and beverage manager at the Windsor and Oberoi Hotel in Melbourne. I joined Hyatt knowing I want to be GM, and I think it took, when I joined '99, 5 years later I was GM. I came in 2005 to Baku already first time as resident manager, which is now hotel manager, and then after this I got my first GM's position in Oman. Where do you prioritize? And at the end, you know, the profit is important, the guest satisfaction is important, the service delivery is important, the staff satisfaction is important, but to balance them all, that is a skill level we as general managers have to. And convince, not only have to have, we have to convince our people too. Modern communication, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think when I grew up in the industry, we were much more people focused and engaged directly with guests. And business happened as well. Maybe not as fast, as perfect as we think it is currently, but people came on time to meetings, people were not disengaged because of telephones or because of information coming through. What I see in the last 4 or 5 years is a data overflow. As a general manager, I think, yes, you need to be available 24 hours, but you don't have to respond to emails 24 hours. And what people have to learn, and I'm telling everyone as well, practice when you're with your family, with your friends, that you are in the moment and not halfway on the telephone and thinking what is coming out afterwards. You know, it's very simple to make a positive difference to the people I meet every day. And in our industry, you constantly have people around you. If it is your own team, if it is guests, if it is suppliers, if it is the owners, you know, constantly you have people around you, and it's not about socializing, it's much more about to make a difference to the individual needs. I never had this thought about a career, as I said earlier. It was only about an internal enjoyment. I was able to travel the world, living in different countries, not on holidays. The places I've seen, I probably would have not been able to afford if I would be working as a bank manager somewhere. Nor would I have met the people which I met during my time off or during my working life. I know if you go into a profession to make a career, it's the wrong motivation. Same if you become a medical practitioner, if your career goal is to make money, because in a medical profession you can earn some money as well, you will not be successful. You need to enjoy the core task of your responsibilities And then you don't need a drive, internal drive, which makes you up, getting up early in the morning. It's the same with the family, it's the same as our parents did, as I do as a parent there as well. Whatever happens, nevertheless, we will be there for our children. And nevertheless, the work I'm doing it's enjoyable. You know, these are all very modern words. Unleash your potential. We said this in Marriott, we say this in Hyatt. There are some constraints to this as well. Of course, you can unleash your potential only when you're challenged. If you're not challenged and you're in a comfort zone, then you will never be able to see what your opportunities are, what the possibilities are, what you can achieve or what you can deliver as well. Having said this, when I think that is my 17th hotel in my career, and what I was 18th, I haven't counted it for some time. Very quickly, out of experience and knowledge, you can identify people who have a certain willingness and a certain level of responsibility. And irrespective in which field they're working in the hospitality, they're easily to be able to take responsibility in other areas of the hotel as well. And we have fantastic candidates in our hotel too. And that means you need to engage with them. But I cannot force them to take the next step. And I remember how I did it. When the GM was not in the hotel, it was the best time for me. Because I could, or if my direct supervisor was not in the hotel, was all the time very good for me because I could take his tasks. You know, I could take his responsibilities and ensuring it is perfect during his or her absence. And when I was in directorship then, and I had the GM as my direct superior, when he was on holidays or she was on holidays, I could take responsibility respectively. And when he or she came back after the leave or after the weekend or whatever it was, and everything was perfect, that was a satisfaction you get. Huh? I interview everyone. I do not interview for technical parts, I leave this up to our division or department heads. But every person before starting, or any applicant before starting or get a confirmation to work in our hotel, will have a conversation with me. Sometimes I do this with 2 or 3 people together who have applied for a position. Very seldom do I go into technical parts, but questions, I engage into a conversation. I want to see how people can talk, how people can express themselves. And typical questions I have: what is your career goal? What do you want to achieve in 5 years or 10 years time? And if someone can tell me, many are shy and say, even if they want to be GM in 10 years time, I can say it is realistic or not realistic, depending on what has been done before. I think important is that that we are honest to people and not build up a dream for someone which at the end is going to fall apart and nothing happens. But I have interviewed some candidates who have fantastic potential. They're all Azerbaijanis who have fantastic potential to become general manager in future and take responsibility managing other people. Anyone who works in front of house with guests need to be able to communicate, and communicate in a clear and in a not pleasant but in a accommodating way. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. Look, I'm 58. I'm many years general manager. I had a great professional life. I would recommend everyone to go into this industry. But you need to be prepared. It is a lifestyle. You will not have Monday to Friday. You have not 9 to 5 or 8 to 6. It doesn't happen. What you need is enjoying with people. That's number one. If you don't do this, don't come and work in the guest service area. Doesn't matter, hotel, restaurant, or any retail job. If you do not want to serve someone else, if you don't want to make a positive difference to the other person, don't come into the industry. That is really something that has to be on top of your mind, what you want to achieve every single day. As nice you are to your children, as nice you are to your partner, or parents, as nice you should be as well. You need to love to do this to other people too. Simple as that. I don't judge this at all. I'm not involved. This is done by my team. I can put my veto in if I disagree. But usually the department head should make that decision and come together and find a a common denominator to say this person deserved it from the front of house or back of house. If I disagree, it happened in other hotels or in our hotel, I would say no, and then we should do it again. It happened only once. But I think you empower, this way you empower as well the people, so I'm not the person who makes all decisions. Is recognizing employees every month the right thing to do? I don't think so either. I think it's a very old-fashioned a system we have worked with. I should not be too critical, but much more important is that people, that associates are being recognized the moment they do something right. Not because there's a guest comment coming, but because their manager or their colleague or the general manager sees something, should recognize in that very moment. Why do I need to get a certificate, employee of the month? Does it help me to get another job? Employee of the year? Does it help me to get another job? No, I think it is not relevant anymore. But we continue doing these things because apparently some people like it. It is stepping out of the traditional way of managing. You know, maybe even at university or in school we haven't learned this. But if you go back, as I said before, I have 3 children. I do not wait until the end of the month and single one person out. Why should I do this in this big family? And when they do something great, I will bring it up, my wife brings it up, and even the siblings will bring it up. You know, if one sister did something fantastic, they all will join in that very moment, or a day later, whenever it is. Why waiting for the end of the month? You agree with me? And once we can achieve this family bonding and this respect for each other we have in a family, if we can translate this into a hotel business as well, or into any business at the end, then we can achieve this as well. And then we're going to have teamwork. Values are very important for people to understand. Anyone. We have values at home, we have values in an organization. I weekly have conversations with staff members. Every Thursday at 3 o'clock, if you want, you can join one day. We're talking about the purpose why we're actually here, why the company exists, why we are here. We're explaining what values are. What are values? Value is a set of behavior. We want to ensure that everybody behaves in the same direction, the same way. So we are actually focusing on the common goal. Not everybody has a different aim and thinks something different. Of course, we need to be able to define and put the words we're using, that we have the correct understanding. Not maybe correct, but the understanding we want as a company. We as a company from only company, AAG, Pasha Holding, and as well from Marriott. So you have to merge those together. We talked about care, we defined care, and we talked about values as well, or goals. And this is why we have every Thursday groups up to 10 associates. And after values, I have open questions. So we're talking about the tagline, we're talking about what the branding means, what the brand means, why brands are important, caring, we're coming back because we have in Marriott 3 moves. Where you make a personal connection, where you respond to cues and make it brilliant. We define this as well. Good talks when it comes to mind. In the beginning, people were not used to it. Every time I ask, do you know something? Do the colleagues share with you? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they no. Then they say nothing has been shared. Then we start the conversations. It is not a teaching, it is not a training, it's a conversations we have. I want people to understand. To tell you what it is, it's easy, but you need to, when you walk out of the door, you should remember the same thing as well. It comes first down to the person, him or herself, to say, no, I want to learn, I want to step out of this comfort zone. And there are people who do this, and those people will be successful, and they are successful. And as I explained earlier as well, I was happy when my bosses were not around, because I could take actually on more responsibility. Instead of saying, okay, great, we have now 2-3 weeks holiday time, it was the opposite actually to show it works without them as well, because that is what you want to achieve as an assistant manager or as an associate. Unless you do not want to progress yourself, there is no chance any manager can motivate someone to learn. Impossible. These are and I know these are big words by companies to say to have a learning culture. It would be great if everybody wanted to learn. You know, there has to be a level of responsibility by each individual person. We open the door, you need to walk through this door. We have the training tools available, but you need to make sure you're going to utilize them. You come to me and ask how do I become a general manager? I tell you, I show you, and I give you the tools. But you have to practice these tools. There's no question about it. But I'm not going to waste my time for someone who says I want to be GM and doesn't do the work behind it. Correct? It's the same with good grades in school. You need to sit down, sit extra time after school to ensure that you get your marks as you want them. It is the same with learning for us. It's a very challenging, how should I say, subject. I don't think it has been mastered in any company, though many companies believe they mastered it, but they mastered it only maybe on the paper, because we are forced to do. We are forced to achieve certain numbers, but that means we're not learning. We are only justifying that we achieve certain goals. It would be much better if people would learn by themselves because they enjoy learning. The same in school, you know. I had teachers who said to me, we are learning together. It's not I'm the teacher, you listen to me, I tell you. But we learn together, and school can be fun. Learning can be fun. That is what we have. This environment we have to achieve. We are not there yet. My biggest, and I said this before as well, my biggest concern for the future is technology. That we do not utilize the very good technology available to the right purpose. We are misusing technology, we are abusing technology, but we are not getting to the results we could achieve. We should be working much more efficient and effective, and with this have much more time actually with the guests and with our associates. And we currently do the right opposite. I can share this with you, and I have shared it many times before. When I started to work, but within a short amount of time I was told it is very difficult to find people to work in the industry. That was back in Germany in '86 I started with my chef training. Now we're sitting in 2022 in May, and the same thing happens. We as an industry have completely missed, in how many years is this? 22? In 35 years to put a change together. And the reason is, A, we don't want to pay enough salary. We do not want to change the way we have done business in the past. And we have missed probably the education around the world, not in Azerbaijan. I think Azerbaijan has a much better future than we actually have in Germany when it comes to hospitality. We have completely foregone and put all the time away, or the responsibility passed on to someone else to make a difference. We missed that boat. I mean, so many years later, I missed that boat. I may have an excuse, say I did it for my own hotel. Did I do it every time for my own hotel? For some positions, yes. For some others, I don't. I probably didn't. If I would have had the wisdom with 30, which I have now, would be great if I have wisdom. My generation, including myself, we contributed destroying Mother Earth, and you guys have to pick now the mess. So if someone would have told me something when I was 30, look after the environment more and look after people even more as you have done already.